I'm from Kenya, and my ethnic heritage there would be called Kikuyu. We have 42 communities. I happen to come from one of the largest community in the country. I moved in Edmonton back in 97, September 16th. I came here to study at U of A. It's a very interesting time coming to Edmonton, Alberta. And the only reason why I want to highlight that is because it was quite obvious that coming into the city or the even academic institution, we had very few black faces. In all the classes I attended, I was the only black person. And therefore, the late 90s, early 2000s, that was the kind of experience, and it may have something to do with me joining CCACH.
In the 70s, we saw more and more people coming to Alberta. Many of them from out east as opposed to from the Caribbean directly. So we would go dance and sing our cultural songs and whatnot. I also created a netball group, but I am so not athletic. But I knew how to organize, so I would get black people together. We used to have black picnics in Borden Park, and you know, we started to be able to work together. And there was a group called the Council of Black Organizations, and I was a part of that. It's somewhere, I think around in the 80s, we changed the name. After a lot of discussion and a lot of controversy, we found that just saying that we were a black group didn't go well with funders. They felt like, what is a black group, right? Despite all that we had done in the community. So we changed it to the Council of Canadians of African and Caribbean Heritage.
CCACH is the group that I've always worked with ever since, I had that first meeting where Gordon Sadul gave me, I think, a leaflet about this youth forum. When we set up the Living History Group, we attached ourselves to CCACH. So Lawrence was on our board, and he was also a treasurer at the same time for CCACH. So it was easy. I always think you should look to see if you can support an organization rather than consistently setting up new organizations that then don't thrive. So we affiliated ourselves with CCACH, and we had quite a lot of freedom. I was here for when they changed the name from CBO, and it was changed to Council of Canadians of African and Caribbean Heritage, CCACH. And I always used to joke and say, but we have no CCACH.
In the old colonial system, the parents dream for the children. My mother always wanted me to be a nurse, or this or that, or the parents always, because they didn't have, their dreams were stifled, so they dreamt through their children. We have an opportunity to let our children dream for themselves. We give them the nurturing, right? Give them the platform, support them however we can, and leave it up to them to realize their own dreams. You dream as big as you want, wherever you want it to take you. So you feel proud when you see that your children can take the mantle and run with it, that this is what I want to carve for myself, and they can achieve whatever goals they set out.
My family is from Ghana in West Africa. I am Canadian born, the one in my family actually who is born in Canada.
I was born and raised in Malawi, Africa. I moved here to Edmonton, Canada in 1993.
Yeah, now that I think about it, slavery was something I did learn about growing up and I was aware of, but it absolutely did present those negative feelings. And all of a sudden you're in a classroom, you're in a educational setting where you're seeing, maybe for the first time, some representation of black people in the educational space, and it's absolutely terrible stuff of how black people are being treated. And honestly, in some times where like the history of slavery is presented, you feel kind of like an internal tension and discomfort, and it's not a positive feeling to think about that and feel that. But then on the other hand, if I look at AfroQuiz and the way that CCACH presented that education of Black history, there was a lot of positive things that I didn't learn growing up, of inventors, creators, artists. And instead of that feeling of tension and negativity, it's like joy and curiosity. But really? Like, a Black person did that? Or that really significant thing came from the idea generated from a Black individual? So, like, really inspiring and completely different feel.
Is the grumpiest snake in the jungle?
That is correct.
Contestant Fatsani Saliwa regained her first place title at this year's competition in her 9 and under age category.
I think it's inspiring to everybody, but especially me, because there's lots of things that I did not know, and I have lots of heroes. I just thought Africa was a country where there's just stuff and it's hot, but now I know that there's lots of more things that you can learn from it.
I grew up watching TV, and the only dark-skinned woman that I ever saw was Zuri from Jessie. And everyone used to tell me I looked like her, and I was like, do I look like her, or are we just both Black? You know what I mean? I never saw me, and that really, it very much contributed to what I thought was pretty, to what I thought was acceptable, to what I thought was right. What's so important for me is that my brother grows up in a day and age where he sees himself on screen. You know, I feel like the girls that are growing up today with The Little Mermaid being Black, that is something that I wish I could have grown up with.
I want to be absolutely clear about this. The United States and Canada are not identical societies, so what happens in one cannot guarantee you what's going to happen in the other, but there are some similarities. And there are studies from the United States that demonstrate that, and I think this study must have focused on grade 4, but basically, if an African-American child had an African teacher, it was either in or by grade 4, then his chances of dropping out decreased by 30%. And if you think of, like, is there an app, a pill, a special program, you know, some type of super patty that you could eat that would make you not drop out of school and had 30% success ratio, you'd get $1 billion contract, right? And it turns out that you don't need those. I mean, I would, like everyone, I would love a super patty, okay? However, you can't get those things, but what you can do is you can hire African teachers.
And so there's actually a lot of French immersion teachers, say from Senegal and different, say Côte d'Ivoire, different French-speaking African nations, where it's like, okay, those people exist, but they don't necessarily, they don't fit with the values of the school. And yeah, I heard that comment once and was pretty peeved, because I thought that's an opportunity for people who look like my kid to be teaching my kid in terms of education. And in terms of representation in education here in Edmonton, it's so small. But now I do know a few Black teachers. I know probably like at least 5. And now they have an association. Shout out to Sarah Adomako Ansa, who is also our lead tutor at CCACH, who started the Black Teachers Association, along with Andrew Parker, who's another awesome Black teacher. They're all doing big things and wonderful things, and they're all getting together, showing their faces and showing that Black teachers make a difference for Black students' lives.
Mentors, people who are wiser than you and can help you become a better person. Representation does have a big role to play in that.
I work in an elementary school, so I'm lucky enough to have had the privilege to be the first Black teacher for all of my students in grade 3, and having some of those same students again in grades 5 and 6, I got to be their first Black teacher again, and hopefully that will continue as they go through the school system. But representation is important for kids to be able to see themselves in me, especially my young Black girls that I've taught. There is a relationship and a bond that I had with them while I was in the classroom that was different than everyone else, because I understood what they were going through. If we went on the swimming field trip, I would remind them to bring their swim cap so that their hair didn't get messed up. If their skin was a little ashy. I'd hand over the lotion that I know works for black skin to say, don't use that stuff, try this. This will work for your skin. It'll give it the moisture it needs. So we were able to connect on a level that was very special.
One of our sons is a soccer player. So he was actually a professional soccer player. And I remember when he was in school, he was in high school, there wasn't much encouragement from the school, the teachers, in terms of his pursuing his education. And it was mostly, oh no, you are getting 70s and 80s, you're good, you're good, you're good. And so he would say to me, Mom, why are you trying to make me work harder? My teachers think. I said, well, I think I know you better than your teachers. So I've got dreams for you. And so if I have dreams for you, I know you need to do much better than that. So sometimes I find that, they don't encourage them, especially when they are into sports and things like that. They would rather they focus on that than on the academic work.
The reason why I think the tutoring program works really well in terms of mentorship is that they're taught by young people who look like them, who have similar experience, who really understand not just the academic struggles or challenges or difficulties, but also their experience as Black students in an environment where they're often maybe not represented or where they don't belong.
It's very important for them to have access to Black tutors because I don't want to sound mean here, but not everyone can teach about Black history. And I feel that maybe having Black tutors can help them learn more about it.
To a parent, CCACH is an educator, a support system. Aside from that, to the community, CCACH is an organization that brings educated young Black people back into the fold to help educate younger Black people. Each one teach one, if you will.
Oh, I think it's so important to have teachers that will support you or bat for you. For CCACH, I used to do their tutoring. I used to be one of their tutors, and I remember one of our students, he had a math test, and we helped him prepare for the math test, and he aced it. And his teacher came back and said, "How are you cheating? How did you get the answers? Do they have the teacher's copy of the textbook? How is it that you aced this?" And it got to the point where the student, he was like, "Don't teach me too much because I don't want to bring attention to myself." That's how I learned about the self-fulfilling prophecy, that this teacher did not think that a student could do so well on his own.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm a tutor at AfroQuiz.
Hi, my name is Kayana, and I'm a tutor at AfroQuiz.
Hi, my name is Panina, and I'm a tutor at CCACH.
Hi, my name is Tariq, and I'm a tutor for CCACH AfroQuiz.
I wanted to become a tutor because you can always do, obviously, tutoring out of schoolness, but when they said this was of African and Caribbean heritage, I'm like, this is amazing, because I stated before, we need that representation, and they see kids like us, we're like, oh, we went to university, you can do it, So that kind of helps them have the motivation to be like, okay, if I want to be this, I can do it. No one can basically hold me back from that, right?
CCACH selects its tutors by doing some outreach at the beginning of the school years. So around the end of summer, we reach out to the student organizations, the campuses, different campuses, if anybody's interested in tutoring, and we outline that we are tutoring for children of African and Caribbean heritage, and typically the Black Students Association send people over and we interview them and find out if they're a good match. And also we have the students who are applying to be tutored, so they tell us what they need and we try and match them up to the best of our ability.
This program is yes, people see it as a tutoring program only, but to me the biggest piece is the mentorship and seeing that our university students that we've hired to be tutors are able to make an impact on our students who are going through the school system currently.
One of our current board members, she came to Canada from Trinidad when she was, I think, about 11 years old, and her family was greatly involved with CCACH in terms of volunteering and Afro Quiz. She received tutoring, she was a tutor, and now she's a board member. And is it not a success story for somebody to have gone through the whole program, feel that it's something that's so important, that now she gives of her time freely so that she can come and be a part of our programming too?
I didn't learn anything about Black history in school, but Afro Quiz kind of made me feel more a part of my country than usual. So I know more about the Black history and why the Black is special.
In school, we were never really given the opportunity to learn a lot about Black history. There was an occasional announcement on the intercoms about the basics, like the definition of segregation.
But in Afro Quiz, they focus on the positive sides and what Black people and Caribbean people have accomplished. It's more positive. At school, we barely talk about it, and if we do talk about it, it's more negative.
I say Afro Quiz gave me more knowledge, because in school I only learned about slavery and like they were treated poorly.
I think what Afro Quiz is just a fun way for kids to learn about the amazing parts and heroes of Black history.
The very first iteration of Afro Quiz was something that I created in our youth group Ebony. I was a student teacher back in 1992, and I was stationed out in Sherwood Park. I was partnered with another student teacher, and she used to use Jeopardy, sort of impromptu Jeopardy in classes to quiz social studies and stuff like that. So that was, and I thought, we could do this at Ebony, and I bet people would have fun. So we did that with Afrocentric knowledge, and then probably Lawrence Fredericks and maybe Jenny Kelly, who was another important member, who's now Dr. Jenny Kelly, and I think they learned about our Afrocentric Jeopardy, and they thought, this would be a good idea to take this beyond just Ebony and have it available in the wider community. So I said, I can lead the part that's for university students and maybe high school, and then they said, we'll handle the younger kids, junior high and elementary. And so I helped out with that for 2 years. It is a very nice thing when you create something, and I gotta emphasize here, I wasn't setting out to create anything, we were just having fun. But they spotted the potential, and so when they took it over, they made it huge, and and all credit is due to them, because I did not have the vision that they had, and this has now been running for, 27 years or something like that. Even during the pandemic, it ran online.
Tremendous importance in terms of supplementing, it's not supplementing, but infusing the knowledge that schools don't cover. I think it brings the kids together. That was the other thing, it's something, learning about Black history is joyful, because they're often quite excited and banging that buzzer and choosing their prize. And I think also it's good as a community activity, because certainly when I was involved, parents would come with them. Parents would get to know each other, we would get to know parents as well. And I don't know, there's just something about Afro Quiz. People like Melody Cesar, I remember when she was tiny, but she went right the way through, and like a circle, she came back and gave. So it's almost like people pay it forward. Like Siani, come, and then his children have been, he's now got, his children have been, and his mum, Chris, she's got grandchildren now. So I think it sort of develops a sense of community and family. And people are committed to it. It gives the kids a sense of themselves, a sense of identity. When teachers say no such thing exists as Black history, they can say, no, I've been working on that.
So Afro Academy is sort of like the evolution of Afro Quiz. So over the years, Afro Quiz, when we first started, again, like I said, it was sort of like a two-part. There was a post-secondary part of Afro Quiz, and then there was the K-12 portion of Afro Quiz. But over time, the program had evolved, and so we felt that just focusing or just having the kids get registered, prepare the material, and then they get to study, and then the only thing they do as a way of celebrating their knowledge is just to come in for one event. And even for that one event, we only have so many kids that we can take at any given time. We can only take 10 kids, and those 10 kids are the ones that are going to be on stage, and they celebrate their knowledge. And yet there's a whole bunch of other kids that registered. We would want to celebrate their knowledge and what they've learned during AfroQuiz. And so over the last 2 years, CCACH has had sort of like a dedicated director that focuses on the business of CCACH, if you will. And so our executive director came up with an idea that what if we expand what AfroQuiz is?
When they watch TV shows or when they hear the news in the background, they start making those little connections to the content that they're learning in AfroQuiz. So they might be learning directly, but things around them they'll make connections to, which is pretty cool to see, especially driving around town or like taking them to the different activities. They start, oh, that was connected to AfroQuiz. Oh, I know that. Wasn't that the astronaut, the physicist, the different, yeah, so there's a lot of connections that are being made that they don't see directly, but it pops every now and then, which is really cool, really, really amazing to see them or to observe them observe.
Her first time participating, she was so young and she may not get everything. Like I was asking her this morning, what do you remember about AfroQuiz? And she remembers a little bit, but she doesn't remember the content that she was learning. But she knows that, oh, it's about, she knows that it's about Black history. So the very general high level things she can grasp. And then when I start asking questions about AfroQuiz compared to school, you know, I get different answers. And I can tell that something is happening up here and here, but the more she does it and the more she hears about it, the more it'll mold her personality and who she becomes.
Having them participate in AfroQuiz unites us. We do things together. And then it helps them in their, I want them to be able to be the leaders that they read, God willing, right? And so AfroQuiz gives them that platform to project, you know, so if they were, you know, introvertish, they know that it is okay to be on stage. It is okay to hit the buzzer. It is okay to do your best and shine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think being a part of AfroQuiz has allowed them to feel that learning about Black history is fun. Black history is world history. Black history is not just an isolated thing that they learn in February. They see Black history everywhere they look because of the way we teach it in AfroQuiz. They see community connectors, they see people, geography, they see environmentalism, they see so many aspects that they learn that it's not just a singular day, month thing that they do.
It's a really cool thing to be able to kind of showcase to the city that we're doing this, and whether you like it or not, there is Black excellence all over the place, but we need to make it more of a focus and we need to make it more of a focal point in our learning and in our students' learning.
I recently went to Atlanta and to Washington, D.C. and so there's a lot of civil rights history, there's a lot of kind of African American history, of course, in D.C. and I went to the museum there and I was like, man, I know so much of this stuff and it's all stuff that I learned in AfroQuiz. So I think like the lasting legacy of that experience is just my knowledge about Black people, Black history, African enslavement, all of that I learned kind of by participating in AfroQuiz.
I see AfroQuiz helping children from other races learn about Black history. I see AfroQuiz with a lot of volunteers and staff that are just really willing to help out because of what AfroQuiz has done for them during their childhood.
I would like it to become sort of like the Jeopardy on TV, except asking the AfroQuiz questions.
Why do you want to compete in AfroQuiz?
Because it's about Black people and I love everybody that's Black.
CACH means to me a lot of really great things.
CACH to me is community.
A vehicle for educating us about us.
It's the diaspora taking power for themselves.
It's an outlet for learning.
It represents the togetherness of the Black community.
CACH means uplifting stories. It means the diaspora.
CACH is an exemplification of building community generationally. So we start with kids, we have young adults, we have parents, and then we have those who started it 37 years ago, are 70 plus years old and volunteering.
This is what CACH has been to me, like helping. We don't choose who to help, we help whoever wants to help.
I did a qualitative case study, so I used a number of different means to collect data, including interviewing different stakeholders in the organization. So I interviewed administrators from CACH, I interviewed students who had used the tutoring services in the past and had now finished up high school. I interviewed current students, so students who are still utilizing tutoring. I interviewed tutors as well, and the parents. What I found out was that all the different stakeholders, the parents and the students and the tutors, they all felt that CACH was making a very significant contribution to the education of Black students, and also was helping to build Black communities in Edmonton. So I know there were students who shared that their grades in the subjects they were receiving tutoring in had actually improved.
So Black people can support other Black people by supporting Black organizations. Bring your children to be part of our programming. Bring your volunteer time to be part of our programming so that you can see your own children succeed in it.
We're raising future leaders, and for future leaders to be able to grow up and be the next David Shepherd, or they have to have a foundation. And I'm sorry if I keep repeating the foundation, but I think it's the most important thing.
Being able to say with pride and no shame at all that my family is from Ghana is something that's so cool, because growing up I didn't feel that. I felt very isolated and very off-put by even being called Black, and now it is everything about me that I embody and that I love. And I think being a part of CACH has really helped pull that from me, that my culture is beautiful and that my culture is right, and that everything that I do in my culture is so important. So being able to be a member of an organization that really makes that the forefront for everyone, including students, and starting from first grade kids all the way up, is something that's so special to me.
So the reason why it's really important to support this program is A, the Black community is not decreasing. We are actually increasing demographically, like more people are coming in, more families are moving to Canada, and therefore they're coming to new environment, new school systems, and therefore it's important that we support organizations like CACH so that we can expand these programs. When we expand these programs, it means more families get to have their children benefit from the programs academically, also to help these families and their kids improve their social capital. They get more friends from their peers, more mentors, right? And we couldn't think of anything else. If there's someone who said it's not what one lives for these kids, right? It's what matters is what one lives in these kids. What is it that you are bequeathing the youth that we are talking about right now?
I think in addition to the many successes that CACH has seen, definitely there's also been challenges, as there is with any nonprofit organization. Volunteerism is always a bit of a difficult one. Getting people to give of their time is not easy. And so the way that we try to challenge that is to show the benefit and to, if we are doing good work and people see that we're doing good work, they want to then become involved in it.
When I first was bringing my son to the program, part of the agreement was that you would contribute 10 hours, 10 volunteer hours, or pay $50. So again, just a genius way to say, hey parents, we need this program. We can't do it for nothing, but if you have nothing, then maybe you can just give us your time. But if you have, then please contribute financially.
A volunteer-led organization for the vast majority of the time. It was only 3 years ago that we got our first executive director who was able to kind of really be able to focus on getting our funding correct. But we have so many initiatives and things that we want to do. Getting consistent financing has always been the challenge.
I think the key to their success has always been partly succession planning. They work with youth, they teach the youth the value of volunteering and working and giving back. So those youth, when they become adults, they participate in the program and give back in that way if they really found value in the program. But also, I think the key to success with CACH, much like I think the key to success with the Carry West Festival, has been hyper-focus. They do this thing well, and that's what they do. They don't try to expand too much outside of tutoring and AfroQuiz. They're not here to save the world. They're just here to make sure that there's a young group, a generation that comes up and has a good educational foundation.
What has been critical to its longevity has been the people behind it that have a vested passion for seeing the local community continue to move forward, and for there to be continual opportunity for Black students and the up and coming young ones in our space here. In addition to that, the value provided from CACH is undoubtable.
I think the focus being on kids has been the most effective piece for CACH and has been able to continue to enhance the growth of the organization.
I would love to see CACH in every school. That it is, it's a really special thing to be able to have people that look like you be people that are mentors as well. And it was definitely something that I know that I didn't have growing up. And so it's nice to be able to see that my kids have access to that.
I hope that CACH continues, to educate and bring in these programs into the schools, or bring into the find ways of evolving a lot of people, not just our Black kids and stuff, but evolving, because to me everyone needs to learn.
One of my main goals, I think, in my tenure as chair at CACH is working on getting charitable status for us so that we are recognized as a charity, not just a nonprofit, so that we can help to expand our funding. But that expansion of funding is not necessarily to expand to do a whole bunch of different programs and different things. I think that I would really love to see us again continue to build our foundation, be strong in what we do. And if we solidify that, we can do what we're doing in other areas, within schools, or providing it to more students, having more people sign up for AfroQuiz. So it's like a huge thing. It's a televised production, or it could be so many different things.
I hope that it's on a city platform that's even bigger than what it is now. I hope that it receives all the support, all the funding from the city that it could potentially get. I hope that CACH continues to help people and help students learn about themselves. in 5 or 10 years, I hope that the students that we're seeing now put themselves in the positions that some of us are going to naturally fall out of. I'm not going to be the lead tutor coordinator forever, but it would be really cool to see a former tutor, a former student take that role based on what they know.
Once again, make way for us to say. We move the earth. We do not play. Found the table. Make way for us to say. We move the earth. We do not play. Am I right? What do? We do not play. All right? So make way for us to say. We move the earth. We do not play. Okay?
You already know. All right, I said one more time, but like one more time. Slow, we got the flow. We're taking the gold. You already know. Woo! All right, you guys practice on. Say my name, Ogia. Say my name, Ogia. Bring the heat, Ogia. Bring the flame, Ogia. When Umbrella comes around, we hop and we pop and we blow your house down.
Again? One more time. Nice. I wonder if you guys should do a shh.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Is that better? Because you can't hear anything.
You can't hear the blowing.
Yeah, you can't hear the blowing. So let's do shh. 1, 2, 3.
When Umbrella comes around,